What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. What's good, y'all? What's good? Freestyle Friday tonight. I am joined with a guest. I'll go on ahead and allow her to introduce herself to the show.
Hey, I'm DJ Shawnee D. No, Sean, 8 Ball, whatever you want. How y'all doing out there?
That's
Cool,
what's up. That's what's up. Welcome to the show, DJ Shiny D. How's your Friday been going thus far?
man. Lovely, peaceful, beautiful. I love it. How is yours?
Okay. That's good. That's good. Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. I'm gonna wait for a few people to jump in, but while we waiting, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna check my audio and video to make sure everybody can hear us and see us clearly. So give me 1 second. I'll make
Okay.
sure that we can be heard loud and clear. Make sure that we can be
You
heard
know, one thing I keep
loud and
saying
clear.
I'm gonna give me is a
Okay, there we
tripod.
go. There we go.
I gotta give me a tripod.
So we definitely can be heard.
Can you hear me?
Okay. So E Shiny D.
Can you hear me?
You say what now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You can't hear me?
I can't.
Okay, so but yeah, DJ Shiny D. So what's going on, man? What's going on? Give us how your Friday been going thus far. It's been a few weeks since we heard from you. So let everybody know what's been going on, man. How you been doing?
So I had knee surgery. I had total knee replacement. So I've been chilling. Well, I can't say chilling because it's a journey. But hey, God is working it out for me. So I'm cool with that.
There we go. And hopefully you have a full recovery,
Mhm.
to your surgery. And I wish you the best of luck to your speedy recovery, I should say.
Well, thank you. Well, thank
But look, we're gonna go ahead and start it up. I was waiting on a few people to jump. Go ahead, say that again, DJ Shiny D.
I didn't say anything.
We may have a few second. It seemed like we may have a few second delay.
Hmm. So you want to try to
But
start over?
we're gonna go on ahead and start this. No, we good. We good. Everything is good. It just seemed like we may have a few second delay, but we're gonna go ahead and start up tonight's conversation. I want to say what up though to everybody out there on Facebook. What up, everybody out there on Instagram, and what up though to everybody out there on YouTube watching the show. We pretty much is Freestyle Friday. We got a few topics we're gonna be talking about tonight. We're gonna start it off with this Nolan Ryan situation, man. And today's topic is there'll be justice for Nolan Ryan. Because as we see, and as we know, in my opinion, they're trying to run and set up the same play that's been going on and on and on again. They discovered this young man's body a few days ago, under, in my opinion, some fishy and strange circumstances. DJ Shiny D, are you're familiar with this case? Give me your thoughts on what's going on. Do you think there'll be some type of justice for this young man? Because, like I say already, the mainstream media, the police is trying to set up for, pretty much the same place they set up every time it's a young man or a black woman, found dead under, strange circumstances. Dealing with their white friends, I should say, because this has been going on throughout the summer and throughout the country, so just give me your opinion and your thoughts on this situation. This young man went out there on the 4th of July with a group of his white friends, and he did not make home after the 4th of July. So give me your thoughts and your opinion on this.
Well, it's just unfortunate because if the way it's set up now, if we didn't have social media, we probably wouldn't even know about this story because they're so controlling on what the news can even put out now. It is just awful. This has been happening since the 1600s and it's still happening. So what that should show us as a community is that what we have been doing isn't working. It isn't working. So we are going to have to devise a plan secretly, secretly, in our own language on what we're going to have to start doing about it. Because if you don't see somebody as 100% human, if you don't see somebody as 100% equal, then you don't care so much about what happens to them. You don't care as much about what happens to them as you do about people that you do consider to be 100% equal. And they do this where they feel like we're just here for their entertainment. For they want to play God for us. They want to decide if we get to live in a home. They want to decide if we get to have anything. They want to be the ones in control of that. The problem is now we are starting to exceed some of what their, what I mean, of their living style. Now we are showing up on the same vacations, the same, and they want us gone. They are threatened by us. They cannot do anything about it alone, so they do these kind of sneak attacks. They do these kind of, like, in the woods kind of bullshit. And
Hey,
they
come
want.
come come into the speaker a little bit, LaShawn. You
I'm
sound a
sorry.
little muffled. If you
Is that
can,
better? Is that better?
that's a lot better. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I was just saying I need to get a tripod. I'll have one the next time. But, it is just to the point where it is like, what are we going to do about it? There has to be something that we do about it. It has to be repercussions for this happening in our community like this. Who pays for that?
Right.
And even if,
Well, I have
yeah,
some
even
suggestions on that going forward, but go ahead.
But even if you pray about it, okay, and that's your way, they pray about it, But what I am tired of, I'm tired of these pastors and these lawyers that want to jump in when it's a big story, and then we don't hear from them anymore until it's another big story. What are we gonna do in the meantime? What's about to
Exactly.
happen? What's about to happen? You know what I mean? Like there has to be
Yeah.
something.
No, I
So
agree with you.
it's unfortunate. And the
Right.
thing is like we still don't really know the whole story. They
Yeah,
the
because
young
they have not came up with the they have not came back with the
dude, the
autopsy
girl,
yet. But I want to read a few of these comments, DJ Shiny. The Connor a 5 yards 5D said, how's your day, Dan? What up though, man? He said, what's up? Not much, man. Just sitting here freestyle Friday, chopping it up with DJ Shiny D, talking about this Nolan Wells situation. It seems like to me that they're all already trying to set up for the same old play, trying to make it seem like this young man drowned on himself, but as we discussed this case, it's a lot of fishy stuff that has been coming up, and we'll get to that. But go ahead, DJ Shiny D, finish, saying, giving your 2 cents, I should say.
oh no, it's just so sad. But it's sadder because we don't know what really happened. It's little things are coming out, but they already had a story in place. And how they could make us out to be the monsters and the savages, and there are some, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like the less melanin that you possess in your body, the less empathy that you have for others. I just do. And you could kill somebody and think you've done a good thing. You know what I mean? That's how they look at it. They
Yeah, well,
celebrate.
right. And I'm gonna read off a few more of the comments. Cal Catherine 1520 said, hey, what's going on, man? I need for you guys to make sure you hitting that subscribe button as you come in. Your boy is less than 60 subscribers away from 1K, so please hit that subscribe. And I need for you guys to make sure you're liking and you're sharing, but today, and I want you guys' opinion in the comment section too. I definitely want you guys to weigh in on this conversation, on this important, and especially for the for the white people that's here in the comments too. Give me your thoughts on this situation. You had this 18-year-old man that went out on a boat, that was going out to celebrate the 4th of July, with his white friends, and he did not come back home that night. So the question is, and it's already looked like, we've been getting no justice through this law system, and it's already looked like the police and everyone is setting up for to hear that this young man is coming is probably going to come back with this no foul play and this young man drowned. So I need for you guys in the comment section, give me your thoughts on this. What do you think happened? Do you think this young man will get justice? And then and then I want to ask you, this is my next question to you, DJ Shiny D. What kind of friends would leave their friend that came with them on the boat? Because this is the code that we have in the Black community. You leave who you leave with who you came with. So what kind of friends would bring a friend on the boat to an island, knowing that that's the only way that you can get back is on that boat, and leave this friend on this island without his phone? So give me your opinion on that. What kind of friends are these that would leave their friend on this island and knowing that he didn't have a phone?
Or drunk people with no empathy. You know what I mean? Drunk people that don't give a fuck about you and who are surrounded by who they consider to be their peers, and it ain't you. So I just think that happens all the time. This
Yeah,
kind of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody, that social media and everybody's on social media is talking about. It's a code of conduct that we always carry in the Black community. And I'm quite sure this probably is in every culture or every race or community. If you come to a party with somebody, you always make sure that you leave with that person. If I'm riding with you, we ride back. So my whole thing with that, man, that situation to me, it sums it up. It seems fishy that they would ride with this young man, have his cell phone, and it's a lot of questions going out there that they almost didn't really want to give this phone over to the parents of this young man. So they drove back the next day. That same night without this young man. And they sent the search party out there. And the first place where they looked is where they found this young man's body after the friends had left from out there. So it's a lot of questions that is unanswered, DJ Shiny D. So, when they originally was searching for this young man, they couldn't find him. But it was reports that this young man got into an argument amongst the people that he went out there on the boat with, and I have a video that I want to play, but we've been having a few technical difficulties with the Wi-Fi, so I don't think I'm going to play that right now. But it's been reports, and they basically showed these videos of, and you can actually hear that it was a confrontation between the man and the people that he came with on the boat. They were saying, he was actually basically saying, "Where's my phone? I need my fucking phone." And you can and I'm gonna try to play that, DJ Shiny D. But give me your thoughts on that. He asked for his phone back. He didn't have his phone. They left him on the island, and then the next day they found this man dead, and then the friends bring the phone to the parents. So that, to me, that seems fishy. They lawyered up. They turned off all their social media networks and everything. So give me your opinion on that. It's a lot of fishy shit going on with these so-called friends, DJ Shiny D.
I don't know, Damon. And I no disrespect to the Wells family. I'm not. I sympathize with them wholeheartedly. I can't imagine the pain that they must be going through right now. And my heart and prayers are with them. But I'm so tired of talking about it. Things like this happening. I'm so tired of saying, well, what can we do? Well, we need to do something. Like, whoever's boat that is, they gotta have a business somewhere or be in a company somewhere, and they need to not make another dollar. Like, the only thing that really hits white people, to me, and this is not all white people, this is those white people, and they know who I'm talking about. It is money and power. That's the only thing that really speaks to them, is money and power. And when they lose either one, it's almost like life isn't worth living for them, because that is what gives them their status. They can't do anything without a mask, without a weapon, or without a group. They can't do it. That what scares them the most is, you notice that even when Karens approach you, they approach you when it's more than one black person and y'all having a good time. Then they want to know what y'all doing over here. Y'all don't have a permit. They don't want us to gather. They don't want us to talk. They don't want us. They think we're dumb. They think we're stupid. So they think that they can get away, or they won't miss this one, two people. But this one, two people every day now, every day. Y'all are
So
blatantly still doing the same shit y'all been doing. And if it
right,
wasn't for
and I
social
want to
media,
ask you,
we wouldn't know about
and I want to ask you this question because you said they think we dumb. Do you think I really think that they think that we're dumb, to continue coming up with these same plays that they've been running, because like I said, we're not the only people that think it's something fishy about this case. This young man did not go out there and drown. In my opinion, I think it's too much evidence pointing towards these friends. Where you actually
it. I
have the
love it.
video of him having confrontation. You have it's reports of other people that were on boats saying that it was arguments amongst him and the people that he came with on his boat. So at the end of the day, and then this young man come up dead the next day, and then where they found this man at is where they originally first searched at. You know what I mean? So I think the media, I think the law
It was
enforcement
2 days later.
must think that we are stupid and dumb, to be continuing to run these same plays that they've been running, LaShawn.
Yes, it's a
So
lot.
in my opinion, I'm gonna say yes. I do think that they think we're stupid because the same results are happening. We come back. It's a lot of evidence that it's foul play that's been going on with a lot of these cases. And at the end of the day, even with the shootings with the police, and our young men getting shot in the back, it's clearly as day that a lot of these men were running away and they're still getting justified shootings, and no one's getting charged with these murders. So in my opinion, man, that just lets with this law system, with this justice system, think about our people, and then and then just in general what they think about our people. Because like I said, at the end of the day, that one of these young men has been interrogated. None of these guys have been locked up. So I guess that's my next question. If the shoe was on the other foot, and before I ask that question, what up, though, Big Hen? Go ahead and introduce
What's
yourself
up?
to the
What
show.
up, though?
Hey,
Yeah.
how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm
Good to
good.
see you. Yeah.
You
Yeah. So
too.
we
Yeah.
hmm Well, I tell you what,
okay. So
Damon.
yeah, I guess my next question. We just sit. Go ahead, big y'all. Go ahead.
Nobody said nothing.
DJ Sonny D.
Oh, okay.
I hear
No,
a lot of buzzing in the background, Big Ken. I don't know if that's you or DJ Shiny D. But I guess
it
my
might
next
be.
question, man, look, to both of you guys, Big Ken, I don't know if you caught up or you've heard what's going on. We're sitting here talking about this Nolan Wells case, the young man that went out on a boat with his white friends that pretty much ended up dead the next day. So in my opinion, I think they're trying to set up for the same old play with no foul play, and they're going to try to come back with a ruling that this man pretty much drowned. So my next question to you, Big Hen, is if the shoe was on the other foot, if this was one white boy traveling out to an island with 3 black men and he ended up dead the next day, do you think that these black men would have been interrogated and someone would have been locked up, by now and been interrogated? Give me your opinion. If the shoe was on the foot, what do you think this outcome would be right now?
Oh yeah. We already know they had an investigation going. Most definitely. That's just what it is. When it comes to us, it's always what it is. We know what it is. So it's just horrible that they trying to downplay it like that. But the truth will come out. We'll be here for it.
Yeah, because I think that's what they're trying to set up. They have not came back with their results from the autopsy yet, but the family has already sent the body out for a second autopsy. So whatever they come back and say, the family is going to be waiting on the second autopsy. But at the end of the day, man, we saw cases like this over and over again. Where it was clear evidence that it was foul play. For it to come back with no foul play. You know what I mean? So, DJ Shiny D, give me your thoughts on that. If it was on the other foot, what do you think would have happened by now? What type of case or what type of interrogation would they have done to these boys?
To me, I just feel like we know what the difference is. We know this.
You breaking up, DJ Shiny D.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, you hear me now?
Okay, you sound a lot better. You was breaking up.
Okay. I'm so tired of just talking about it. We know there's a double standard. We know this. How many thousands and thousands of times can we prove that there's a double standard? We know what it is. So what's about to happen now? Like, that's my question. What should happen? What should happen? That's my question to y'all.
Okay, I'll let you ask that question, Big Ken. What do you think should happen? And I'll give you my opinion on what I think should happen going forward. But DJ Shiny D, I don't know if it's you, but you kind of fade in and out with your mic.
Okay, it might be me.
But no, in my opinion, what needs to happen is they need to bring all three of these. Go ahead.
I didn't say nothing. It might be my phone.
Yeah,
I don't know.
In my opinion, because it's like you're breaking in and out. But in my opinion,
okay,
all three of these friends that he went out there on that boat with. Okay, go out and then come back. But yeah, all three of these friends, in my opinion, Big Ken, everyone that was out there on that boat, they need to be brought in. They need to be investigated. And all three of their phones need to be confiscated, because it has already been reports that, let me bring DJ Shiny D back in. It has already been reports that when they recovered this phone, that there was text messages erased from this young man's phone. And then like I told DJ Shiny D before you came in here, there's audio and video of this young man arguing about his phone. So it was known that these young men had his phone. He was arguing with them over his phone on this boat, and then the next day this young man come up missing. So give me your thoughts, give me your opinion on that.
Like you said, we don't did a few reports. I hear a
lot of background from one of you guys.
Well, I just went out and came back.
Like you said, we don't did a lot of reports on this same subject with black people and evidence being kind of like hid to make it seem like it was a suicide or something like that. So I believe what I've always believed, like the investigation, it can't stop until we get some type of justice. It's like if you let stuff go, they will let it go. So, that's
I can't say this.
And DJ Shiny D asked that question earlier. She said, what can we do?
Go ahead.
Add to that.
I didn't hear none of that.
Yeah, we froze a little bit.
You froze up. It might be you. It might be you. You say your Wi-Fi.
I hope not. Well, it may be me, but DJ Shiny D kind of spoke that up earlier, Big Ken. She said, "What can we do? How can we get our own justice? And always, this is my motto: we have to take our own justice into our own hands." Because not with just this case, man. We've had multiple cases that we just recently done stories on, and I'll go back and talk about this other recent case. There was a case in Michigan where you just found a 28-year-old man out of Illinois, Michigan, who traveled down with a group of white friends again, and this is a pattern that's going on, you guys. And I want to talk about that. What is it with our people that's traveling with, hanging out and finding themselves, unalive, dealing with these white friends, so-called white friends, but this young man traveled from Illinois, rented a car, drove all the way down here to the Michigan. It was a electric festival. And they ended up finding this young man hanging from a fence, a day later. So give me your thoughts and your opinion on that, man. We've talked about multiple cases where we found young black men and women hanging, when dealing with, with white friends.
I feel like it might be some type of coat that these black people don't know that they dealing with, because it seems like, you know, it's the same type of situation. It's being covered up. So you might have to check into some type of white supremacy or some type of cult going on, because it's almost seeming like it's the same type of situation, if you understand what I'm saying.
No, I clearly understand what you're saying, man. It's the same old, because we just did a show, and I don't know if you were involved on that show, DJ Shiny D, but we did a show about a year ago where you had a black woman who actually went to a sleepover with her white friends, and they found her dead the next day. They said that she was drunk and fell over a balcony. You know, so we've been hearing about these cases where you have these black men and women that's been hanging out, you know, with their so-called white friends that's been finding themselves dead. Give me your opinion on that, DJ Shiny D.
Well,
You know,
I
what's
just
going
think
on with that?
until it bother you, it's gonna keep happening, because I'm not going nowhere where I'm the only black. It
Exactly.
ain't those times no more. Like,
Yeah.
and I think about the times that I did go, and but I was younger, in the 90s and in the 2000s, But now I'm not going nowhere with no bunch of white people. I just don't trust y'all like that. Like I said,
Yeah.
if you don't see me as an equal, if you don't see
Yeah,
me as
and I
equal
hate
to
to
you,
sound, you know, and
then if you get drunk, no telling what'll happen. It's that liquor, and when they get together, that is always the problem and the issue. So until we wake up as black people and say, you know what, segregation might not be so bad.
Exactly. I think we believe we said
yeah,
that
and
in the
we talked
last
about that,
show.
and we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might
Yep.
not
Yeah, I
be
was gonna
so
say we
bad.
talked about that on the previous show. You know, segregation may not be a bad thing for us to go back to. You know, because like I said, man, you've been having too many cases that we talked about throughout the country where you've been having black people that's been hanging out with their so-called white friends that's been coming up missing or dead. You know, and it's been going on for a long time. You know, it's just that the mainstream media has brought it to the forefront. You know, this is not something that's just
They
been going
haven't.
on. This is something that has been quietly swept up under the rug. You know, and I don't know what it is with our people thinking that we can feel
Infiltrate.
that comfortable with trusting a group of white people and lies with that. We see the results of that. And I hate for it to sound racial, but it's just too many of our people that's been dealing with these so-called white friends that's been coming up dead and missing. So and like I said, we've talked about multiple stories of black folks coming up hanging, or missing, or just like with no answers or no justice, with like this Nolan Wells case, so I just wanted to bring this to the forefront. There was a press conference with the family today. ABC
Mhm.
had a press conference with them, and they still have not coming out with the results, so if you guys have anything else you want to add to this case, if not, we can go ahead and move on to the next topic.
Well, let me say this. We don't know what happened. We don't. And I hope that at least the family finds out what happens. But right now we don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't want. I don't want to make it seem like, okay, y'all guilty before you actually stood trial. But what I am saying is, it fits the description. You know what I mean? It fits the description of things that have happened in the recent future. The recent past, and it's happening every day. So we got to change up our response. We can't no longer. Peaceful protest does not work. It does not
I,
work. Only thing
I,
that works is money.
No, and I agree. I agree
I
Money
agree 1,000%.
and
Yep.
money and
everything
blood.
that those
Me
kids
and Big
touch.
Ken, we talked about this earlier. The only thing that they respect. Go ahead, Big Ken.
No, I agree with a lot of what she's saying.
But yeah,
Most of it, what she's saying, I agree with. It's just got to be. I don't think that 80% of the black people out here. Hello, did I just fade out? Okay, 80% of the black people out here,
no, we hear you.
we not gonna get caught in a situation where the majority of the people is white, and there's not that many black people around to see what's going on. So, I'm just gonna say this to the people that do hang around, have a lot of white friends, colleges, and things of that nature. You just from a predominantly mixed area. Yeah, I think you might need to think twice about just being the only black. There's something going on, and it's
And
happening in the South a lot.
Yeah, because I was gonna say,
yeah, that needs to start
go
at
ahead,
home.
DJ Shiny D.
That needs to start at home. Like I still have some friends that feel like, okay, well, I live in the suburbs. I live in an all white neighborhood, and that's supposed to be a good thing. Well, that's not a good thing always. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'd rather live where I stand a chance if some shit break out. You know what I mean? And you got to right now because that's what they trying to promote. They trying to provoke this. What to me, they provoke. They doing shit like they know we
DJ
ain't gonna
DJ
do
Shiny D. I think it's your speaker that's getting all that feedback
it. Is it really?
that we hear in the
Okay.
background.
You want me to go out and come back again?
Yeah, because it's a lot. It's like you fading in and out. And it's a lot of feedback, but no, DJ Shiny D, she hit it right on the nose. My question to you guys is it safe to actually travel, or hang out and be around a group of your white friends, with all the stuff that's been going on, and we don't want to, scare, those that do have white friends, because we all have white friends. We hang out, but, my question to you guys in the comment section, and even to you white folks, is it safe for blacks to, in this ongoing time and what's been going on for us to be hanging out and going out on trips and having sleepovers with our white counterparts? You know what I mean? But Big Ken, give me your thoughts on that. Is it safe, or unsafe for our people to be hanging out or going on trips with our white counterparts?
I just think you need to be aware of what's going on. I know in the city, right now in the cities, we're not hearing a lot of what they getting in the South. So that's why on the last couple of shows, I addressed that. Like basically in the South, I don't know if it's, like I said, some type of cult, some type of Ku Klux Klan, or I don't even want to make it all, about racial, but that's what it seems to be. And things is being swept up under the rug about what's happened to these young people being hung and being drowned, and their white friends not really sure, they don't know what's happening. So that's got to be weird and something. There's got to be a red flag, So white, black, Puerto Rican, Jew, it's a red flag, and it's happening to black people in the South. So that's where the Jim Crow stuff happened up. So right, naturally, as a black person, you should feel some kind of way when you start hearing about hangings and drownings and stuff like that. I said the last show, couple shows we had, black people don't know how to tie ties and we don't like water that much. So those two things we're gonna have a problem with anyway. So I don't know.
Right. I agree. But DJ Shiny D, you brought up an interesting point earlier. You said what solution? Where do we go from here? So I want to ask you that question. What solution do you have? For our people, where do we go? How can we stop this situation from what's going on? Because we see what's going on. I don't know. And like I say, I don't know if they think we stupid or not to realize what's been going on. But what's been going on is our people has been coming up lynched. They've been coming up hanged. They've been coming up drowned and things like that. Falling over balconies when spending the night with friends and things like that. So give me your opinion. Give us your thoughts on that. Because we really understand the only thing that they really respect is blood. And money. So what do we do to be able to combat? Besides hanging out with these white friends. You know what I mean? So give us your thoughts. Give us your opinion. What solution can we come up with to kind of counteract what's been going on with our people throughout this country?
Well, what I say, and I don't think that's me. I don't think that's me with the feedback. I don't know. But I do
Big
Man, I
Ken,
got
press
an air conditioner. I
press mute
definitely
on
got an
your
air
phone.
conditioner going.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know what
press
that
until you talk. Press mute until you talk, Big Ken.
is.
Go ahead, LaShawn.
Okay. All right. I don't want to say what I think should happen uh on social media. I just don't, because
Okay.
I'm kind of over it, period. But I think a start would be to everything that any of those kids touch, anything that their parents touch, um, we need to stop supporting. Whatever. They need to not make another dollar.
You breaking up real bad, DJ Shawnee D.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
So is it just her, or can you hear with me too?
No, I can't hear what
I
I
can hear
don't know.
you clear.
I don't know where the
Okay.
feedback is coming from, but I don't know. I didn't went out and came back in, so I don't know. Do you want me to just
Yeah,
skip
no,
out?
you're
I can
fine.
I
You're
can
fine.
hear
Just
you. It's on. I can hear good. I don't really hear no static, but
I'm
I don't
telling you,
know.
Damon. I think it's you
It could be you, D.
because
okay.
I
Well,
didn't
it
went
could
out
be.
like
It
30
just like it
times.
seems like when you talk, it sounds like your mic, like you're muffled.
Okay, okay. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be real close. But I just, I'm tired of
Listen, I'm gonna
talking
have to
about
come. I'm gonna have to come
Okay,
right
but no,
back
we
in. I
good.
gotta let. I'm gonna come right back in, y'all.
it. Okay.
Okay, well, we're not gonna be too long anyway. But yeah, man, so what solution? Oh well, you know what? I kind of know what you
I
was gonna
just
say.
said
Like,
stop
look, the
spending
only
money.
thing that they respect, it's gonna take for this same situation to start happening to their people um for them to for them to realize that we understand what's going on, because that's the only thing that they're going to respect. We got to realize that we're being targeted. This is, in my opinion, we're being targeted. It's not a coincidence that they're finding all these people coming up hanging from trees. A young man that was in perfectly good health that went out on a boat with a group of friends. And in my opinion, they're already trying to set up for the same old play that they've been running, like this young man has drowned. So we're gonna have to serve them up with their same dish for
Yeah,
them to
for sure.
respect or to stop this shit from happening. And that's the
Yeah.
same thing with the police officers. For these shootings and these killings to stop, it's gonna have to affect them too.
Mhm. Well, that's why I say, sometimes people don't hear words, but I'm trying to get into
Yeah,
heaven. So I'm trying to get into heaven, and so I don't want to put that out there in the universe. I'm working with God to kind of, take that out of me, because that's what they want to do. They want to trigger us. I think that the only way is if they lose everything. You know what I mean? They get not another black dollar. I don't care where you work. Anything that is connected to those children, if they're found to be guilty, they need to not get another black dollar. So that's where we're at right now, because that's the
yeah, no,
only
I
thing
agree.
that they can
And
get through. Do you hear the feedback now?
No, and I agree. And it's been working on a lot of the businesses that we've been trying to shut down. I believe it's been over
Yeah,
like 350 of these Asian businesses that we shut down. But and I've always said that we have to be able to go back and replace these same businesses that we shut down through just not spending our money with these businesses. We have to replace these businesses with black owned businesses. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So we
yeah,
have to do
for
our
sure.
part at that too. By when we shut them down, we have to be able to come right back in and replace these businesses with black owned businesses. At the end of the day,
Well,
but
and you
yeah,
know
at the
what?
end of the day, I agree 100% what you said, LaShawn. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me say this. Ideally, all black everything would be a utopia, would be wonderful. You know what I mean? But even if there are um, other than black businesses in our neighborhoods, if they're hiring black people, if they are giving to black people, if they are supporting the communities that they're in, I don't have a problem with them being in our neighborhoods. I really don't. But you're not
Right.
gonna come. You're not gonna serve us some bullshit and then not give us and not contribute to our community at all. And the black dollar is all you make, like the Asians. Is not. It should never happen. I stopped going to Asians a long time ago. Which is why I'm going all natural. Because
Right.
I'm not going to them
Yeah,
no more.
listen. And we talked about this last week, LaShawn. Look, I was out in Dearborn about a few weeks ago. I was working with my brother-in-law and my
Mhm.
sister, and you know what community is out there? It's the Arabs and the Chaldeans.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
wow, these are $1 million house. This community is thriving. They have their own police force out there. There's no whites or no blacks that's policing their community. It's Arabs. It's their own people community policing their own community. And I'm like, wow, these are the same people that's in the black communities, taking all the money out of our communities, putting back over in Dearborn. I'm like, this is we doing shit backwards as a group.
yeah,
We allowing, and I'm not going to say we are allowing, but the government has allowed, and we've have allowed by fraternize these businesses too. Spending money
yeah,
with these businesses. So we've allowed for them to come into our communities and take all the money out, because LaShawn, you just said it. They don't put back. We wouldn't have a problem, if they actually put back into these communities that they're taking from, but they don't do any of that. They won't spend a
mm-mm,
dollar, with any
mm-mm.
black businesses in the community. So when you
And they
go
got
out there
the
and see
nerve to
these
treat us
neighborhoods,
like,
I was in disbelief.
yeah, they just treat us like shit
I'm
too.
like, this is where
So,
all the black money is going.
and you know why they do it? Because they have and they can. They have and they can.
Yeah,
And it unfortunately we have a few there. Even we're embarrassed by. You know what I mean? Like even
right.
me as a black woman, there's still black people that I'm embarrassed by. You feel like you can label us as one thing. So those are the people that I do not support. And the one good thing about Detroit is you can do all black everything except for like a hospital.
Right.
You can do all black everything. Black grocery stores is black, beauty supply places is black, estheticians, so you can go out here and get stuff done. I just choose to say, you know what, since I'm not spending my money with Asians anymore, however I look until I find somebody black that I can trust, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. But
Yeah,
let,
because we got to be
I'm
smarter.
not.
We have to be like the Asians and the Arabs and things like that. Because when have the
Yeah.
last time you saw a Chinese man in a all black business restaurant or anything like that supporting the community? You don't. It's rare.
When is the
And the
last
same
time
thing
you
with the
seen?
Arabs and the Chaldeans that's in their neighborhood. So
When is the last time you seen
go ahead.
When is the last time you seen an Asian eat at the restaurants that they have in our community?
Yeah, you really
You
won't.
know,
You won't see them.
they're not going there. They ain't
Yeah,
eating that
you won't see
shit.
them supporting any of the businesses in our community at all. So we
No,
have to ask ourselves, why would we go out and support their businesses in our community if they don't even come and support our businesses uh, in our own community? You know what I mean? So
no.
it's like we have to take blame, for some of the stuff that's going on in the communities too.
They get not another dollar. Not another dollar. And until we feel that way, and unfortunately, we have a generation that, and I'm not going to say total because it's some on both sides, that don't really care about this. They're going to shop there regardless. They're going to go to Target regardless. They're going to go to the beauty
Yeah,
supply
I
store
agree.
regardless because they need the hair. You know what I mean? But I just feel like if we could just change our way of thinking, where if we loved ourselves, if we start loving ourselves and our naturalness, we could be done with all of them. We could be done
See,
with
and
the
you
last
know what,
people.
LaShawn? and, and I think with all this racism that we seeing that's coming out from a lot of these white people, and I'm not going to say all, because I work with a lot of white
No,
people, and all white
me
people are
too.
not. not bad. It's the
I
few
do
that make it
consider
bad
some
for all.
friends.
But I think
Mhm.
yeah, I think I think what we need to happen is all this shit needs to continue to keep on happening for our peoples to really wake up because I don't think our people have really woken up to realize what's actually been going on, with all these with these murders, with these hangings, and just just the unjust that's been going on throughout the country. So I think we need for this to continue to happen, for our peoples to wake up, for this to light a fire up under our asses, because I think we take a lot of this shit for granted,
Yeah,
so
we do.
and then at the end of the day, man, go ahead, say that again, LaShawn.
We do. I always feel like this is what pisses me off sometimes about the black community. The people that don't vote have the most to say about politics, and that irritates the shit out of me
Always.
because you
Yep.
shouldn't you can't tell me that you didn't exercise your one important voice, but then you want to sit up here and debate me on why I feel the way I feel. I vote, so
And I'm gonna be the
I'm
niggas that we're
tired of
gonna have
that.
to leave behind in the community.
Yeah,
Yeah, and those are
I
going to be
can't
the
fuck
niggas
that.
that we're going to have to leave behind because everybody is not going to be, is not going to take heed to, to change, or want to, get out of this bullshit that our community has been in for the last 50 years, and
But
me and Big Ken, we talked about a lot of it has been set up, a lot of drugs, and guns and and things like that has been brought into our community on purpose, but it has been up to us.
it
It's been up to
works.
us to the actual fall for these traps, and a
It
lot of
works.
traps we have failed for them, but a lot of things have been proven that that it's been a setup to ruin our community and our people, so
But
it's going to take for us.
unfortunately,
Go ahead.
with them putting guns in the community, um, it wouldn't have worked to me as much if we had fathers in the house. If we had, so to me, it's a lineage of issues. It's a lineage
Yeah,
of problems, generations and generations of issues, which is, it was designed to be this way. Don't get me wrong. This is how, but it's working. And I think that their tactics have to stop working. And it's not gonna stop working if we don't all
yeah,
listen. And you gotta realize that even you matter, even your one vote matters, even your one time of not going in there and going shopping will matter. You got to see that you
right.
matter too. You matter too. You know,
See, and then another thing, and you hitting it right on the nose too, Deshaun. Where we've been feeling that is, in the justice system, we have not been getting out there, being able voting, to try to make a difference in the things that we're talking about. And then it's just not enough black people when it's time for these juries to be selected. It's not enough people that's registered. Most of our people try to avoid or try to get out of jury duty. And honoring jury duty. That's why Carmelo Anthony got the raw deal that he got, because there was not one, well, I know they excluded 3 blacks, but still it should have been more blacks that was ready to serve to be on that jury, and we get railroaded a lot, in cases throughout the country because there's not enough black people on these juries.
no, it's not. It wasn't, and to tell me that you picked 12 of his peers just because they live in the same neighborhood, I do understand why you say that, but to me, they weren't peers. And I
At
think that
all.
that's just unfortunate, but they have a way. And when I say white people, I guess I don't mean all white people because a lot of the changes that we've made, we had some white people on our side. So I'm not
Yeah,
saying
it,
all white
it's be it,
people. I'm directing it at those, at them.
right.
You
Look,
know,
and you hit it right on the
um,
nose. The change that we have saw, LaShawn, has come through the few white people that are good, and that's the only reason why we have saw change because of the few white people that do want to do the right thing.
yes, for sure. So this isn't them. I'm talking about those. You know, they. You know, I'm just tired of talking about them because they think that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. They think that they can, change the laws, that they can, it's a lot of like what happens to us at work. They make the laws work for them and they change the rules as they go to fit the circumstance. And they want to have, when something happened to their kid, they want to call all their resources, all their judge
Right.
friends, all their this
Exactly.
friends, and all this to try to get involved. And they get involved. But we don't do
Yeah.
that.
See,
We got black
and I'm
judges
glad
too.
and I'm glad that you said that too, LaShawn, because what's going on in this Ryan this Nolan Wells case, one of the parents is an actual judge.
Yeah, yeah,
He was a judge,
yeah.
so that and you hit it right on the nose. They will stick together. They will come together to protect. And this is what they have done. They have come together to protect these three young white boys from even being questioned or being held responsible for this young man's death.
And
And
if
you
it
hit it
was
right on
the
the
flip
nose, man. And
side,
that's what we're gonna have to do as a group. We're gonna have to, follow trait of some of our counterparts and follow lead, and create our own system, where we can withdraw and we don't have to, rely or count on, their system. That's what's been going on, man. We've been relying on their system too much, and it's not set up for us, really to win. It's really set up
well,
for us to, to keep feeding their pockets and their agendas.
well, the flip side, earlier when you asked what would happen if it was all black people and one white person and they were to come up missing, and if they would have found out that one of those black parents was a judge in that community, the first thing they would have done was got that case moved. That's the first thing they would have done. They wouldn't have had it in the community. So it is some things, and he had a bum team anyway. So they need to start over and get a new trial, and I hope they do. But I just feel like
I
it's a
pray to
lot of
God that
things
young
that
man get a new trial.
me too, because I don't think he deserves that. And I'm not saying that he was all the way right. I'm not saying that he shouldn't. There shouldn't be some time, but first degree, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot. Like
Yeah.
even it, it's a lot going on with that.
Right. See, and I'm glad you said that, because that's most blacks will agree with what you're saying. We don't think that he's innocent because we understand that young man, Carmelo Anthony, took another man's a young man life. So we're not saying that we wanted him to walk away scot-free, but we're saying like even this shit up, because we saw white men, literally shoot black men in the back and they walk away, scot-free. So
Yeah,
if anything, with most black people were saying that, that he probably deserved his manslaughter, anything probably from like
yeah,
5 to 10 years would have been,
yeah, yeah,
justified.
for sure. I feel the same way. So that's what I feel like. Stop spending money. They
Yeah.
shouldn't make another black dollar, not another. And that is something that if
No,
we don't
I
get it
agree.
together and get it together and get on one accord and start doing this together, and start spending our money where it should go, then I don't really see a change. I really don't.
yeah. Well, and I agree with you 100%, LaShawn. And that's my job, and that's our job over here when we come over here on Freestyle Fridays, and try to put the information out there for our people, try to give them the knowledge, that they can take and go forward with their lives. Because it's a lot of unjust that we see in this unjust law system. At the end of the day, I pray and I hope that this young man family, his mother and father get the justice that they need.
Can I bring up
Like I
one more
said,
thing?
that we're waiting on the. Oh yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
bring? I want to talk about Tigger
Go ahead.
and his wife.
Man, let's talk about it. Go ahead.
She thought she was gonna get one. Then she thought she was gonna show up with bruises on her face, like she got beat up until the video came out. Did you see the video?
Well, for those who don't know about what's going on, DJ Shiny D, kind of give them a update on what's going on. Big Ticker from the basement, in case you guys didn't know, was
Yeah.
going through a situation with his wife. Kind of give them an update on what happened,
Well, she
so
took his
those who don't
phone.
know what happened.
She took his phone and stuck it down
Right.
in her crotch area. and he was trying to get it
Right.
back. And to me, he was being very
Trying to get
polite
it back.
because I know a
Right.
lot of men that would have been like, back up, get my motherfucking phone, you know. But he was being very polite because he knew he was being taped. He knew this was going, you know, it was going to haunt him if he hit her or whatever. But she tried to call the police and say that, you know, he beat her up or whatever, that he attacked her or whatever. And I think everybody thought that until the video came out. Then come to find out she wanted for kidnapping and how you gonna call the police and you yourself are wanted for kidnapping your own child.
See, and
That's
then
crazy.
right, and then what I don't think a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if you know this, but she had a case some years ago, where I believe ex-boyfriend or ex-husband, the same thing with kidnapping charges, with
She
the
got him
kids
in jail.
endangering the lives of her. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, man,
got
it's
him
a
in
lot. And
jail.
a lot of people are saying Tigger should have knew, from her from her background, what type of woman she
Yeah,
was. But you can't blame him for falling in love with his wife, and
yes
everybody
you
deserves
can.
second chances, but
Yes you
at
can.
the
Yes
same
you can.
time, you knew what type of woman this woman was when you met
You're
her.
right.
So do
Exactly.
you feel
So
guilty for Big Tigger, for
I
him
just feel
knowing that
like
what type of woman she was and then still going on to wife this woman?
you should have been smarter than that, Tigger. Come on now, you've been on TV since the '90s. Like I'm gonna need you to like step your research game up. Like if you'll fall for her, then you'll fall for anybody. You the motherfucker that tricks is looking for. Like you know what I mean? Gold diggers is looking for. Because if you're gonna fall in love with a bitch that's got a reputation like that, no, I just don't see high hopes for you. So no, I don't. And she ain't that fly no way. To me, she pretty, but she all right. You can tell it's been a hard life.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. And once I heard that, I'm like, why would right?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
look
and like I
a
said,
little
when I
warm.
first heard that, what she had did and what she was trying to do to him, and then when they came out with, uh, yeah, so it was a bad titter, but hopefully with this, with these videos, that will be able to clear him up, going forward, man. What advice do you give Tigger going forward?
What advice? A divorce. Fake your death. Get the fuck out of there. Whatever you gotta do. Shit, she's crazy. It looks
Right.
like she's going to jail. You know what I mean? It looks like she's going to be going to jail. So I definitely wouldn't bond her out,
Yeah.
and I
Now,
would
do they
let her
do
sit.
do they have kids together?
I don't know if they have kids together. That I don't know. But I didn't think that they had been married all that
Okay.
long.
Well, if they don't, well, it'd be best for him, like you said, to get right.
Hopefully, he has a prenup in place. And because she's going to jail, he should be able to get a divorce without having to pay her a whole lot. But that she is weird. But it's a lot of girls out there. I mean, if you got girls out there that are so low as to poke a hole in a condom or something like that, then to me, girls will do anything. Like they'll do anything to be with what they think is a baller. I think both ways, but girls especially. So I don't feel
Yeah.
sorry for him, but I want him to be smart about it. Because
And,
really,
and then
you
that, and
ain't
then
heard
not only
nothing
that,
about
she was
Tigger.
doing it.
You don't hear nothing about Tigger like that. He usually stay out of
Right.
stuff. So I just feel it's unfortunate.
And then and I tell you what, I do not feel sorry for her because she was doing everything in her power trying to ruin this man's career. She know he's
Yeah,
a big radio host, talk show, that's his livelihood.
yeah.
She called the police. She basically put him in a situation where he was going to ruin his career. So going forward, that shows you the respect that she had for him and their marriage.
Yeah, I mean, so any, I just look like a really insecure, emotionally immature type of woman. And I don't care how fine you are, there are some women that are really insecure and really have a lot of trauma. So, and most of the times it's the pretty ones. The pretty ones got like the most trauma,
Yeah.
because they've had to deal with the most
And I tell
bullshit.
you what, I know Tigger, like I'm glad this situation right here happened because it probably could have been worse.
It could
Normally
have.
women like that, you would probably hear something like Tigger done lost his life, she don't
Yeah,
killed him because he wanted to divorce her, So I'm glad that, this situation right here happened and it didn't happen and
yeah,
nothing, since this like her trying to take his life.
yeah, for sure. Or they could have
Yeah,
easily
but
canceled
DJ
him.
Shiny D,
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that, or they
yeah,
could have
because that's
just
listen,
canceled.
that what was going
They
to
could have
happen if
canceled him.
if
Mm-hmm.
yeah, oh, he definitely was going to get canceled if those videos wouldn't have came out.
Yep, yep, for sure. So I don't know. Unfortunate.
Yep. So look, yeah, that's unfortunate, but hopefully he'll be able to work through this and get through this, and he'll be
Mhm.
okay. But DJ Shiny D, what else you got on your mind? If not, give us your last words. Let everybody know what you got going on and where they can reach you.
Well, first of all, let me just say that you don't hear any more feedback. So it was not my phone. I'm just letting you know that. So anyway, but no, I'm just
Right. It was.
yeah,
I was going to say that too. It was Big Head.
I'm just gonna heal, and I still got some time before I go back to work. So I'm just chilling right now. Are you guys off next week?
Yep,
Are you
we
guys
are off next week. We don't go back until the following Monday.
okay? Okay, nice, nice. So we should do a couple more shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look, I'm gonna be putting up plenty more content, so you are more than welcome to join me. So I will definitely be
Right.
sending you plenty more invites to come join us.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just gonna heal up. Stay peaceful.
Okay, that's what's up. Well, look, we hope you have a speedy recovery. Get well over there, and let everybody know what you got going on.
That's it right now. That's it. Shea butter and knee recovery. That's it. That's all.
Okay,
What
okay. Well,
about
look, I
yourself?
want to thank everybody who commented in the comment section today. And I want to thank everybody who's been hitting that subscribe button too. Your boy is less than 60 subscribers away from 1K. That's a goal that we set out 2 years ago, and we are there. We are knocking down the door, and I couldn't have not done it without you guys hitting that subscribe button. So I need for you guys to continue to subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's been a good show. It's been a good conversation. So at the end of the day, my question and my not my question, but my thing to Black folks, we need to be aware of the people that we call our friends and that we hang out with, and just be aware of the people you hang out with, because guess what? You can find yourself hanging out by yourself, if you know what I mean. So look, I don't have anything else to add. It's your boy Dame D. I am out. Peace.
Peace.